So, I'm Ben Moon. I'm the CEO at Sales Sniper and 7 Level Communications in the States. I've always been interested in rock climbing. I've been doing that since I was about 16. I don't know where I'm going. The map is... I haven't done much of it recently with 2 little boys, but yeah, love doing that. I've been instructing, I've been running into rope work in the military years ago, getting some exposure on the cliffs and using your body to get places. It's cool. Yeah, I guess that's partly why I joined the military as well, was to get outside, have an adventure every day, so to speak. Yeah, whilst we're not doing it outside so much with Sales Sniper, except for shooting stuff like this, it's certainly a bit of an adventure learning things every day as well. Always been into hunting. It became difficult for me to do a lot of firearms sort of stuff, because you obviously need to be on property, and in Sydney you kind of need to travel a few hours to do that. So I got into bow hunting a couple of years ago. My wife very generously bought me a very sexy bespoke compound bow, and I'm yet to actually have some success with it, but it really makes you drive for the hunt itself. So the accuracy piece is all very similar to using a rifle, and you can probably see in my office at the moment there's a first stag that I shot with a rifle, not with a bow, back in April earlier this year. The military career got into sniping in a big way early on, and I was a sniper for 2006 through to 2013. You can do the maths. Did that for a long time, did a bunch of trips overseas as a sniper, figuring out the variables that needed to be consolidated in order to get accuracy at range. Comparisons to that with Sales Sniper when we look at how to make our processes and systems work efficiently and accurately. So I really like that kind of segue from the military into the business here. Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, so I bought this one. I was in a position I couldn't really afford it. I was running my business. I wasn't taking any money out of it. And a mate of mine who has a Defender as well just basically convinced me, said, mate, you can make this work. And I did. I put a big balloon at the end of it and paid that out when I had the money, I guess. But I own it now. I love it. I won't ever get rid of it. Yeah, bought it new 2015. They stopped making them end of 2015. This is one of the last ones. Yeah, aside from that, I was always big into the outdoors, but I've got a 2-year-old boy, Max, and 5-week-old little boy now as well, Milo, and they actually take up a fair bit of my time and my wife's time as well. So yeah, being a dad and being a husband, family guy is the primary role right now. So yeah, cool. A bit about my role as the COO. I look after people and processes, I guess, short story. So I'm the grease in the wheels. In terms of tasks and responsibilities, it really comes down to major projects that we're working on, particularly around the people that we have that we look after very well, both in professional development and in their own personal lives. So in terms of my daily activities, it's really about the priorities of the day and the week and the quarter, looking at what we have forecasted over the coming weeks. Projects might be anything from setting up a new recruiting process with Sean, through to looking at the events that we have scheduled. Not so much planning them or running them, but making sure that the communication flow is going well and accurate across the board. People have the information they need to keep acting. And just assessing constantly across the different projects to make sure that they are tracking well as well. So I guess in the granular detail, I got a bunch of meetings, as you'd expect, being one of the senior managers, catching up with Matt, James, Marco, all of the guys in the States and the UK, making sure that everyone is tied together where they need to be, and me, importantly, staying informed of where they're at with their projects as well. And I catch up with our reps pretty regularly as they come in, importantly in the recruiting process, and then any touch points where they need to catch up with me for anything in particular. We have a bunch of people on our team that specialise in that, with our people in finer detail. David, who looks, he's the office dad, looks at everything and kind of triages out to particular people like Marco or Sean or Jimmy for training, or perhaps across to Will for any management piece on a personal level. Okay, so Matt and I have a history, a reasonable history, probably 15 years or thereabouts. We both went through the direct recruiting scheme in the Australian Army, which was a scheme that took people straight off the street effectively and put them into Special Forces selection and then subsequently training if they were successful. Fortunately, we were both successful and we both ended up in the same regiment, 4RR RAR at the time, which became 2 Commando Regiment here in Sydney. And we worked together for a long time there, both in an assaulting role and as snipers. I was a sniper for a long time. Matt came in, I think, a year or 2 after I did. I don't know if I instructed him or not, but that would be funny in terms of some history. But we certainly ended up on one trip together in 2008 in Afghanistan, where we had a bunch of challenging and enjoyable times at times. We ended up in some gunfights together. We got some shared stories there. Yeah, and Matt left the military well before I did, and struck out on his own as a personal trainer and then subsequently a business owner in the gym space here in Sydney. And later on I left and set up a business making protein bars of all things, and we were living in the same area, and so we'd catch up for coffee and trade secrets of lessons learned as we were figuring it all out. And Matt's always been a very creative leader in the business space, very willing to have a go at something with a quick assessment and jump into it. If it doesn't work, he pushes it to one side and moves on with the next idea. And I really respect the way that he does that. A little bit of trivia, but Matt was the MC at my wedding and I was the MC at his wedding before that. So our families know each other, we're well ingrained, and in social circles we're part of a very close-knit group of some current and but most ex-army guys or commandos in that vein. So we stay in very close contact with all of our buddies on that front and try to get away a couple of times a year to catch up with each other. It's been a pleasure to be able to work with Matt and the rest of the team, but obviously Matt being a very close friend of mine and someone that we've got a lot of shared history together with, to be able to continue that, building that history and see him pretty much every day in the office. So we'll grab a coffee in the morning as a team, we'll catch up. If it's just me and him, we might tell a few stories and whack lyrical. Otherwise, we just get into it and focus on what's at hand for the day and have a few chats in between about what's going on. Mate, Matt and I and the rest of the team are all adventurers, the way I see it, and we've got a hell of an adventure ahead of us. Very much looking forward to a much longer history there. It's a lot of fun, the challenges that we're engaging with now. That'll do, mate.